What up to all my movie heads and my movie fan base? The Movie Man is back in full effect. And today, I got something special for all my movie heads. The Crow. It's finally on digital streaming and it's finally on physical copy of 4K UHD. I did not get the 4K UHD physical copy. I always had the HD. And as you know, my retail service is Vudu. So I upgraded for about $9. And let me just be real with you. It's the most beautiful transfer I've seen. And this film came out in 1994. So 2024, it's still beautiful. Again, I'm not an aspect ratio kind of dude. I don't care. But I purposely did not watch this film, give or take 3 years. Because I've seen this film before, over about, 5 times in the last 15 years. But I purposely did not watch this film. I had it on HD, and I did not watch it because I wanted the 4K release, and here it is. And it is the most beautiful thing I've seen since James Cameron did Aliens, and he did True Lies. A lot of people didn't like those two film transfers, but I loved it. Again, I will say, and I repeat it to the day I die, nothing beats 4K, other than maybe 8K that's coming out. But other than that, don't let people bullshit you talking about, Blu-ray's better than 4K. No, it's not. There's nothing better than 4K. I don't know one person who wants to watch movies in 1080p no more. I want to watch everything in 4K. And this transfer of The Crow with Brandon Lee is beautiful. 10 out of 10 for me. 10 out of 10. This movie gets 10 out of 10 for me because I already love this movie already. Okay. And just beautiful. Beautiful transfer, beautiful audio. And just the visuals is stunning and beautiful. As you know, Brandon Lee, he died on the set of The Crow for a gunfire accident. And just shows you how stunts go wrong. But I have an opinion about why he died and how he died. I still think his murder, and I say murder, yep, I'm being controversial, murder could have been prevented. But that's another story for another time because I'm a little conspiracy nut and I believe, Hollywood has their little Masonic ways. And I want to say it. I believe Brandon Lee was a sacrifice. There, I said it. I believe Brandon Lee was a sacrifice. Okay. As I said before, I usually only don't do reviews. I could do a review in 2 minutes. It'll be over in 2 or 3 minutes. That's what she said. Okay. Yeah, that was a little corny. That was a little corny. Because I know 3 minute dude. Okay. I'm like a 5 minute man. First off, the film The Crow came in 1994. It had a budget of $23 million. Even in 1994, that's a hell of a lot of money. And it took it back. It grossed over $94 million at the box office. The film was kind of a low budget kind of thing. And it was supposed to be like a direct to video kind of movie. But Paramount Pictures saw something in it, believed in James O'Barr, which created the comic book The Crow. And it was very controversial at the time because it was very violent. It had a lot of violent content. And you would think in 1994 it would be like accepted, but no. Usually in the summer era, because this came out in summer, PG-13 movies rule. The only movie that did well, very good at the box office, was Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And that came out in 1991, 1992. This was very controversial. And then the death of Brandon Lee happened. And they had to add $8 more million to complete production. Script rewrites, a stunt double that looked like Brandon Lee, and digital effects. So they had to add $8 million more because he died all of a sudden, again, to my understanding, murdered. Okay, that's just me. It's a little controversial, but, had to happen with Bruce Lee. Yeah. I'm going to keep on that. $8 million to do the rewrites, everything, and the digital effect. And in the 4K, you can actually see a little bit of that. I'm not gonna lie to you. You can see a little bit of that in the 4K transfer. But all in all, I'm so glad they did the transfer beautifully. Now, I haven't heard online, and I purposely didn't watch anything online about the 4K transfer of this movie because I wanted it to be fresh. And I just saw it about 2 nights ago, and it's still fresh in my mind. As I said before, I've seen this film over 4 or 5 times now. And I think it's the 5th time I saw it in 4K. The other 4 was on Blu-ray and DVD versions. But this one is just, I'm not, no one's paying me for this. Miramax and Paramount, they're not paying me for this. This is a stunning movie. I always was a fan of this movie. And I never understood why it never came in 4K years ago. But I'm glad for the wait. And again, this transfer, this digital, the aspect ratio, the audio, 10 out of 10. As you know, on June 7th, the remake of James O'Barr comic, The Crow, which will be played by Alex Skarsgård. As you know, he played It, one of my favorite horror movies remake, because, that was just so beautifully remade. I'm going to be real with you. I was not a fan of the look. He looks, you're looking at it right now, he looks okay. I wasn't a fan of the trailer because, they didn't go by the source material of The Crow is that he's psychotic. And I don't think he's that psychotic. I said this in my film review, not my own film review, but a trailer review. I did a trailer review on TikTok and I downed it. I did not like the, it wasn't psychotic enough for me. But again, I'm going to give this movie a chance. I may go see it in theaters in June or I may not. I don't know. Because I'll be working all the time. So I don't know if I just may get on digital. I will definitely get some digital. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about this movie. Because James O'Barr, who created The Crow, did not approve of it. I don't know if you saw the movie, but he says this is not the Brandon Lee movie that he created. So, hey. But I'm going to give this a chance, and it is what it is. Let me give you a synopsis of what James O'Barr created The Crow. He had to cope with his death of his fiancée. Her name was Beverly, and she was killed by a drunk driver before they were married. That's right. So that's what inspired him to do The Crow. He began working on the comic in 1981, and he was in the Marines, and he was stationed in Berlin. So literally, the dude had so much talent that when he was stationed in Berlin, he started illustrating, first he actually started illustrating combat manuals, and that's what got him into, illustrating comics, and also he was also inspired by another event that took place in 1979 about a couple who was murdered for their $20 engagement ring. O'Barr, he finished the Crow comic in a 6-part, I think he did a 6-part series, and he finished it in 1981. And after that, it took 6 years. 6 years. It was a miniseries, and then it got published. Published in 1989, and that's the history of James O'Barr. And The Crow is a punk kind of goth kind of thing because he said he loves rock, and not only rock, he's into heavy metal, because that's the first thing I noticed about The Crow. This is very rock and roll type, very heavy metal. If you're into heavy metal, so yeah, he's into that. And it didn't take off at first. This comic book started selling in maybe 1990, 91, and then that's when Miramax came to him and was picked up by Paramount, and then there we have the movie The Crow. Here we have Brandon Lee, who plays Eric Draven. And the night before his wedding, his fiance was brutally murdered. Oh, and by the way, he's a musician, and the people who murdered him was his own band. Yeah, that's pretty effed up. His own band, his own friends murdered him. On the anniversary of their death, Eric rises from the grave, and because The Crow, as you know, sends souls to the land of the dead, but the Crow cannot send his soul there because it's in such a torment. So when Crow sees that, the Crow has to put his soul back in him to get his revenge, and so he could go back, rest in peace. Imagine that, guys. Your soul in such torment that you got to get risen back from the dead. This is why it's so cool. And he's like a supernatural avenger, and he's basically tracking down his own bandmates who murdered him one by one, and he's brutal. I mean, he is brutal. No wonder Paramount probably didn't want to touch this. This was violent. James O'Barr was on the set all the time, and this was directed by Alex Prohays. Psst, up here. Anyway, this is Alex Prohays. You know him from this movie Dark City, another movie that should have been in 4K a long time ago. But again, this is distributed by Miramax, so I think Miramax has a problem with Paramount, and I think that's why some of these movies are so delayed. Basically, Alex did The Crow so well that they financed Dark City, and he's just this kind of a dark kind of director. He's brutal. Dark City was type brutal too, so he's a kind of a brutal type director, and he's very dark and gothic. I was a fan of both of these movies. So these are the 4 a-holes who killed their bandmate Eric Draven. Now, I don't want to give so much away, but they drop him out of a window, and they literally rape his fiance, and then they killed her. Yeah. Her friends like these, who needs enemies, huh? And basically, they die gruesomely. I mean, he is so badass in this film, man. This is why I love The Crow, because there's a certain psychoticness to him. There's a certain crazy. And, some people compare it to the Joker, but no, this is another level, like a level of, I would say vigilantism, like with the Punisher, but there's a different level to this. But I say that all to say that they weren't the masterminds behind it. Every Halloween, they go out and pillage and murder, but they're not the mastermind. There's one mastermind. He's played by Michael Wincott, and his name is Top Dollar. This is Michael Wincott, and he plays Top Dollar. I have to say this about Michael Wincott, and I say this, he's a very underrated actor. And I say that all to say, usually I stand for a lot of black actors because I'm black myself, and we don't get that much credit in Hollywood. But this guy, I feel like he's like I'm not saying a black actor, but this guy don't get much credit. He's been in over 100-something films. You know his face. He's just a great actor. He plays, again, Top Dollar, and he's behind everything in the city. And every Halloween, he's the one that pillages and burns everything. And so he gave the order to kill Eric and his fiance. Do you know this man? Don't remember? He had a hook. Okay, you don't know. Gen Xers know him, though. Gen Zers, you're not so familiar. They remade the movie he did, though, The Candyman. They remade that movie. Blumhouse did that. But he was the original Candyman. My man, Tony Todd, he plays to Top Dollar's. He's a right-hand man to Top Dollar. He's like a brutal hench. He's brutal. And he doesn't care. And he's very smart. As you can see, he's putting 2 and 2 together that Eric came back from the dead. This guy's not dumb at all. He's pretty smart. He's actually smarter than Top Dollar himself. But again, I'm going to give the whole film away. But he's pretty smart. Side note, Tony Todd is like Michael Wincott. He doesn't get enough credit. Just a great character actor. This guy been over 50 to probably 100 films in his whole career. Just a great actor. He played the villains in some of it to most of it. But he did TV too. He's a brilliant guy who doesn't get his flowers and his due respect. But I love you, Tony. Know his face? Another great actor who doesn't get enough flowers. Ernie Hudson. He played in every role from the 70s to now. He actually fought in the war. I don't know if he fought in Vietnam. I'm not so certain, but he was enlisted in the army, and he came back, became an actor, and starred on TV. But he did more film than TV. And as you know, he was the black guy in the first 2 Ghostbusters in the 80s and 90s, and came back in Ghostbusters, Afterlife and Frozen Empire. He plays Sergeant Albercott. If I'm not mistaken his name, how we pronounce it. And he helps Eric get revenge because he was there and he tried to solve the murder of Eric and his fiance. And he finds out that Eric is back from the dead, and so he's like, well, hey, let's get these sons of bitches, and love his character. Psst, up here next, the guy holding the big ass 12 gauge. Anywho, the movie The Crow, as I said before, grossed over $94 million. And again, I don't want to give anything away, but it's just a revenge love story. This is what it is, a revenge love story. I could have done this in like 2 minutes, but again, I like to give you the synopsis of the characters and the actors behind who play the characters. As you know, Brandon Lee died on the set. Brandon Lee, the son of Bruce Lee, one of the greatest martial arts action hero of all time. I don't know who could be. I mean, the only one I think could beat him is Jackie Chan. That's the only one I think that could beat him. Brandon Lee was born on February 1st, 1965. He established himself as a rising action star. He landed the role of Eric Draven, of course, in 1994, where he died on set in 1994, meaning he didn't even see the movie come out, just like his father. His father, before Enter the Dragon came out, Bruce Lee died. He didn't even see the success of Enter the Dragon. Again, I have my suspicions of why. I recommend The Crow to all the Gen Zers and to all my Gen Xers who actually want this on 4K. It is beautiful. Again, the transfer is beautiful, guys. This movie gets a 10 out of 10 from me, a 10 out of 10. The Movie Man is out.